Did you know that video games can curb cravings? A university study revealed a 24% reduction in desire for their vice of choice, including overeating, smoking, or drinking, after playing a video game. You're listening to the Xbox Hub podcast, the official podcast of the TheXboxHub.com. For the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos, and opinions, make sure you visit the TheXboxHub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello, and welcome to the Xbox Hub official podcast, episode number 76. My name is Gareth Bridie. I'm going to be your host. And on my virtual left is Mr. James Burks. How you doing, James?
Hello. I'm alright, thank you.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. You sound more upbeat than me.
It's great to be here.
I just don't know. I just don't know whether you're telling the truth. You're hiding a dark secret. I just don't know anymore. But one person I do know about, steady fast, on my virtual right, of course, is the one and only Mr. William Caruana. Have I got with the name, William?
You know what? Very close.
Very close.
Perfect. Yeah.
Ooh, it's getting better. By episode 145, we might have it. How are you, William? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well.
How's Toronto?
It was cold and rainy yesterday. Not sure about today yet. Haven't really left the house.
Good. That's what I like to hear. What have you been doing, William? Because you haven't been on for a couple of months. What have you been doing?
It's been a busy couple of months. I've been finishing up my undergrad, and last Friday I finally did it. I'm done.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
What now?
Now I'm gonna take a couple months. I'm gonna learn Jira, Confluence, a couple other pieces of software. And then it's looking like I'm off to community college for a graduate certificate in esports marketing and management.
Brilliant. Great.
And yeah, I'm hoping to produce games. So
brilliant,
yeah.
man. Great.
And market.
Good. At least someone knows what they're talking about. James, what about you? What's your week been like? That wasn't a link to you saying someone knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, I've got a lot to live up to now. I've been hanging around till 4 a.m. watching wrestling in my pajamas.
Good.
Yeah, I think I watched about 11 hours of wrestling this past weekend.
Wow.
It was WrestleMania.
Every week it seems to be WrestleMania.
Well, this one was WrestleMania.
Right.
Every other week it's just low-budget Japanese wrestling. Because why not?
Why not?
Why not? But I think they had 25,000 fans at WrestleMania. So it was the first real, experience of proper wrestling. It makes such a difference having fans in there. And it was really good. A great atmosphere.
Good.
Even though I was in my room on my own, it was a great atmosphere. And apart from that, I watched an interesting film.
Oh yeah.
If you're interested.
Ooh.
It's called When Jeff Tried to Save the World. Have you seen it?
I've heard of it. Tell us about it.
Well, it stars John Heder, from Blades of Glory.
Yes.
And Napoleon Dynamite.
Dynamite.
That's the one. And he plays a manager of a rundown bowling alley called Winky's World. And, money isn't coming in very fast. So the owners went to get rid of it. But Jeff's quite comfortable. He's the manager. He's quite comfortable in this routine of, coming every day, cleaning the shoes, playing the arcade machines. So it's going to be a big change for him. So he does whatever he can to try and save Winky's World from being shut down and taken over. And it's a no-frills kind of film. And then it's a realistic take on, adapting when life throws things up in the air. And it's got a really good message to it because, not all change is bad. So if he doesn't save it, or he can't do it, you can always find solace elsewhere.
Is it a comedy?
No, it isn't.
Oh, right, okay.
I thought it would be with John Hader.
Yeah.
But it plays a really serious role.
Oh.
It's a really good drama.
William, have you seen this?
That's good. I'll be honest, this is the first I've ever heard of it.
Right.
Well, it came out in 2018, apparently.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
I found it at Sky Cinema this week.
Ah.
It's interesting.
Good.
It's worth a watch.
Yeah. I think
You'll know
I
you'll
just
like
have
it or not.
John Hagen work.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Good. William, anything else that you've been doing this week? Anything fun?
Yeah, it's been nuts week. So last Friday I finished my undergrad. Last Friday was also my birthday. So
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So yeah, I had a nice celebration, and then over the past week, both my parents got vaccinated, and then yesterday I got my brother and we got the Pfizer. So
good. There you go. Number one. Done. We've all had number one.
Go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, talking of that, you two, I live in London town, for the listeners. I won't give you my address. And in London, you will, thanks for. And I've had my first vaccine, but we've got this new variant that's come across from South Africa, and it's hit London in 3 areas. And one of those areas is a postcode that's is very close to me. Like, if I went left out of my door 100 yards, I'll be in that postcode. So it's a bit like, do you know The Division, when you're playing in New York and you see areas that you're not quite leveled up for?
Yeah.
It's a bit like that. I won't go into that area now. I won't go left. I'm going to avoid it for the next 2 months because I have to get tested. So it's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're under lockdown here as well, and we are in the hot zone here. Almost all of Toronto is.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the South African variant in particular has been doing a ton of damage.
Yeah.
Not so much in terms of the death rate here, but the ICU numbers, they're really bad here.
Yeah. Not so good, is it? All our shops are open this week, so I went and traded in some games for the first time. I had all these games lined up, ready to go back to the shop after a long time. That was a day out. I had a little day out into the dark zone, whatever you call it in Division, but it was fine. But talking of games, let's get on to games. Let's talk about games. What have we been playing? Let's start with William. What have you been playing?
So I have been hopelessly hooked on Yakuza 0. I've been hearing, oh, you need to play this, whatever. I take a look at the length, and I'm like, I don't have time for this. Now I have time for this. And, of course, I'm like, oh, this will take 30 hours. 55 hours later, I'm chapter 11 of 17, 18? Because I'm just going to the casino, and I'm gambling, and I'm drinking at the bars, and I'm dancing at the disco, and I'm doing all this stuff. Like, in most games, I tend to ignore the side content for the story. A lot of the side content is just fetch quests and randomly generated quests and things. Every single piece of content in this game, side content, main content, has so much heart, has so much time put into it, that I just want to see it all. And I haven't felt that outside of maybe, I don't know, Bethesda games, and even then with Fallout 4, they started the whole randomly generated unlimited quest thing. But, like, I just really want to experience this and see more, and I am hopelessly hooked. And
Oh.
of course, there's like another 7 to go. Plus
Yeah.
so I've got a long way to go.
You got the
after
next
this.
year sorted out, William. There. It's just
Oh yeah, exactly.
Is that the one we played, James? I think we've played Yakuza. That's the only one we played, isn't it? A little bit.
Yeah, it's when we started,
Yeah.
and then we found it was a bit long.
Yeah. I don't know why. So I really enjoyed it when I was playing it, but I should go back to it maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. I mean, the city's brilliant, isn't it? Just wandering around that city is great.
Yeah, it's small, but it feels real in a way that a lot of places don't. You know,
Yeah.
like
No, it's really good. And what have you any? No, you both haven't played the new Yakuza, have you? The latest one that's come out.
no.
No.
Uh,
Well, you're going to be getting to that, William, in 2028. That's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll admit I have my worries about that one, but that's mostly just because I don't like turn-based combat.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
James, what have you been playing?
Well, you know me. I
Yeah.
play a lot of the big games. Well, in all seriousness, the game I played this week, or today even, is well worth a look. It's Rain on Your Parade.
Oh.
And it's just hit Game Pass today. And right, bear with me here. You play as a cloud, a cardboard cutout cloud on strings that likes to be a little bit mischievous and, cause trouble wherever it can. Basically, you go around raining on people and shooting lightning bolts to blow things up, freezing things with snow, and causing wreckages with tornadoes. It is just about causing pure carnage.
And it's set up like a almost like you have a situation like at the beginning of a wedding. Yeah, a wedding, and you have a challenge to that. You have to drown. You have to soak 10 humans. Do you? Something like that.
Yeah, and the other ones you got to extinguish a certain amount of fires. There's one where you're in a restaurant and you got to fill glasses up with like sewage that you pick up from somewhere else.
Right.
So they're drinking sewage. But more than that, there's quite a lot of pop culture references. There's one that's a bit of a stealth scenario, very similar to Metal Gear Solid. So you get the whole radio message at the start, and then you go around avoiding people, and the whole feel of it is so Metal Gear. Then later on you've got a Silent Hill type one, and there's even a homage to The Office, which I absolutely adored. It's so much fun, and it's on Game Pass. It's a winner.
So free.
There's hardly anything bad I can say about it.
There you go.
Nothing.
And we reviewed it on the site, haven't we? So who's reviewed it for us? I think it's
Neil reviewed it.
Yeah.
And gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
Wow. Good. Free on Game Pass today.
So read that review.
Yeah.
It's a really good review as well. Really exactly how I feel.
Right.
It's a brilliant review.
All right. Calm down.
Probably the best.
Right. What have I been playing? Hitchhiker. That's the first one. Have you heard of this, you two?
I have not.
No.
I'm intrigued.
Hitchhiker is sort of a narrative story game. Narrative kind of adventure. Let's call it that. And it's in first person, and you basically go on a journey. You sort of open your eyes and you're in a car, and you've got a driver there, and he's driving you through a sort of desert, and then it's quite a nice beginning. You're in sort of silence. You can sort of look around the car. You can look at your hands. You can look at the driver, and then you start a conversation. And you like with the audience, try to work out why you are here, why you're in this car, what you're doing, and And then as you go through, you realise you're looking for someone. You're looking for someone who's close to your girlfriend. And then it goes mad. And so the story is over 5 different rides. So 5 different journeys. So you start with one and then you might go to a different location with someone else, different location with someone else. But there's 5 chapters. But it feels very much like an episode of The Twilight Zone or something from David Lynch. Things get very surreal very quickly. As you're driving along, some of the dust balls starts following you and they've got eyes in them for a moment. The language, someone starts talking to you on the radio personally to you and giving you hints about what to do. So it becomes very odd in this kind of journey. But what the game does really beautifully is the kind of visual style. You have these 5 main chapters, and then you have these interludes, which are like stories within stories. So one of the voice actors might just start telling the story, and then the way that it's presented, this story, one's in sort of a hand-drawn animation style, one's presented through. Do you remember those magic views or hand projectors you used to have as a kid? You used to press a button.
Oh,
yeah, one of them is presented in that style. So you see all these kind of images going through this viewfinder, and yeah, and it's really clever. The animation's lovely. It's brilliant. The story's great, but the voice acting's top range. Top of that, it's brilliant. It does well, and it's good. It's a short game. It's 2 hours long. We'll get through it. I sort of recommend doing it a chapter a day because you just have a lot to think about. If you like narrative, if you like story, like something different, give that a go. I think it's out soon. The embargo is definitely finished, I hope. As he says, it might be out today, and 15. But yeah, it's really worth a look at. I really enjoyed that. Hitchhiker.
Nice.
William, what's your next one?
Sorry.
Ooh. Oh no, I've caught you at a bad time, William. You okay?
I just need to clear my throat.
It's all right, William. That's it. James, do something. Cover the moment.
No. Nope.
Can I sing a song?
Sing a song, yes. There you go. William, are you back?
Yep.
Good.
I'm here.
James covered it. No one would notice. It's fine. He's sung something. What have you got, William?
So the other game I've been playing is Outriders.
Oh.
Now, I've been having a lot of fun with this one. The servers, I was having some issues earlier on with that. But I'm able to get them running now, which is great. Yakuza's taking up most of my time, but Outriders I've been having a lot of fun with them. I'm not into these sort of Ludo games. Avengers did nothing for me. Destiny does nothing for me, but I really do like this one.
Why?
I think the gunplay is fantastic. I really like. I like that it sort of feels like Gears of War, even though it isn't. Cover is a far less viable way to play this one, but it's just a really fun, fast, fluid shooter.
Okay.
And I was actually part of the technical alpha for this.
Oh, yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think now the non-disclosure agreement should finally be up. I would hope. The game's out. So the thing is, I finally caught up to where I was in that technical alpha, and looking at an overview for the game, I didn't realize I got over halfway through in that first weekend when I was playing.
Wow.
So now I'm about halfway through the game. I'm sort of taking it slowly but surely. Again, because I'm juggling a lot right now, but I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Are you playing on your own?
I am.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
right. What's that like, William? Because I started the tutorial and I thought, should I be playing with other people? Or is it okay to play on your own?
It's okay. The only thing is you'll probably have to stick to a lower world tier, as they're called, because the difficulties go up from easy all the way to beyond impossible, apparently. So I'm on like world tier 6 or 7.
Okay.
It's fairly manageable, but it's of course easier with friends.
Yeah.
So make of that what you will. Yeah.
Okay. And James, have you? Yeah. Sorry.
Did I ask what character class you went with?
I went with I don't know why the name escapes me. I went with the trickster one, so the one who can
Oh yeah,
slow time,
that's a very
teleport,
cool.
and yeah,
I think it is the trickster.
Yeah,
I
I
really,
think you're
think it
right.
is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a fun class. Which one did you go with?
I've used the pyromancer and
Nice.
the devastator, which is like the
Nice.
tank. But yeah, I think I prefer the fire one. I like burning things. That's me.
Good. James, have you gotten to the servers again? Have you tried again once time?
I uninstalled it until they've got their act together.
Okay.
When I hear that people can play online together regularly with no issues, I always do it again.
Right.
It's a pain in the backside otherwise. It
Good.
really is.
Okay. James, you got another game in your head that you've been playing? Doesn't matter.
I've put a lot of hours
Hmm.
into Rain in Your Parade.
Right.
Um,
That's exhausted you this week. Can't do any more.
yeah, that was just today. But I did play a little bit of Skyland, Heart of the Mountain, which is another Artifacts Monday game,
Right.
which is like a hidden object puzzling adventure. I want to hear the story, because I don't really understand it at the moment. But it's your usual, do a few mini games, piece together parts of the inventory, and just enjoy beautiful hand-drawn visuals.
Yep.
There's nothing more to it than that.
No.
That's Artifacts.
It's hard to describe, isn't it, an
animation is
Artifacts
terrible.
Monday unless you played it.
Yeah,
And it makes
the
complete
stories are a
sense.
little bit weird.
Yeah.
But the animations are really bad.
Are they?
It's so blurry.
Oh, no.
But with no animation, it's great.
Okay.
Beautiful artwork. But I'll tell you more about it next week
Okay.
when I've finished it.
Good. Sorry, William. What were you going to say?
Oh, nothing. I was just saying that it sounds nice.
Yeah, they are. They're really relaxing, those games. I got into them quite
Yeah.
late. I really enjoy them. I've been playing a game called The Dark Side Detective. Now, The Dark Side Detective came out on PC for a while now. I think it might be quite old, 3-4 years. And it's out. I've been playing it. I'm reviewing it for the site for us on Xbox, but I'm also reviewing the sequel, which is coming out soon. Maybe it's the embargo's today. And
What's that called?
I've forgotten. Dark Side Detective, something, A Fumble in the Dark or something like that. I think it's called A Fumble in the Dark.
Sounds right.
Yeah. And Dark Side Detective is like an old-fashioned point-and-clicker. So think LucasArts, think Monkey Island. It looks like that retro kind of feel to it. And so there's nothing new in how it looks or how it things. And the idea of the story is you're a detective in a sort of like a department that deals with the things occult or spooky. So you're on your own in this police department, and you'll go out in a case, almost like the X-Files. You'll go out in a case, and generally something would turn into like a ghost or a monster or something strange that goes bump in the night. And it's very funny. It's really well written. It's really good. It doesn't take itself seriously. You know, you might be playing one case that you go into. There's a kind of bonus episode when you go into a shopping mall to get some presents, and then evil Krampus comes along and takes over the shopping mall. So you have to kind of get rid of that. There's another one when you're kind of going into a library, and once that goes back, and it becomes like a ghost take over the library, and you have to sort of like go, like normal point and click, get an object here, take an object there, work it out, work the route through. It's good. It's really good. It's one of the best point and clickers. It's really nicely done. I'm really enjoying it. I mean, it's always hard to go from PC to console with the controls. It takes a bit of getting used to.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think it's always easier if you had a mouse, of course, with that. And it's nice. Some of the we play a lot of point and clickers. Me and James, we review a lot, don't we? Sometimes it's so obscure, and sometimes you have to look. I have to look for help after trying everything, and you go, I never would have got that if I hadn't looked that up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I reviewed the Leisure Suit Larry one, and there was something like you have to get a banana flavored a banana-flavored condom, and you have to shove a cucumber and a piece of cheese to get a rat, trap the rat, eat the thing. And like, it was so preposterous that I would never have thought of it.
Yeah.
I had to use a guide.
Yeah, you have to. You have to do that again. It's okay. As long as you don't use it all the time. It's very tempted to use it all the time, but it's like, yeah.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
But it's good. I recommend it. So they're both out at the moment. I think about £12 or something. So if you like an old point and click, do it. Okay, we're going to move on because we've got quite a lot to go through. Now, Nintendo had their April Indie World Showcase. And
Yes.
I don't think they... Did we know about that much in advance? It just feels like it popped up. Did you?
A little under a day, I think.
All right, okay. Typical Nintendo.
Yeah.
But it's worth us having a little chat about because also people who have got the Switch will be able to play these games. But I think most of these games, I know some of them will be coming to Xbox as well. So I reckon there's quite a few of them. Should we
a few of them were Xbox exclusive, like Last Stop, and now they're coming to Switch too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Should we go through a few? And I'll lead some, and if you can remember any ones you want to talk about. Oxenfree 2 is the big reveal, I think. I think Oxenfree I reviewed on the Xbox, and Oxenfree is another point and clicker, a kind of story narrative point and click. That's a really great game. I think I gave it 4.5. It's a brilliant premise. It's kind of like these high school kids in the first one on a camping trip, and then suddenly everyone disappears, and it becomes like a ghost alien story that's really beautifully drawn. And this is the sequel, and it's set 5 years after the events of the original game. It looks good. Have you two played the first one by any chance, James?
No.
No. There you go.
I have not.
I took your recommendation to try it.
Right.
And I ignored it. Like I normally do.
Good. I like that. William, did you play the first one?
I have not. No,
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely. I have a massive backlog to begin with, but I'll try and keep an eye out for it.
I think it's on Game Pass, Oxenfree.
It probably is. Yeah.
I think it's worth having a little go.
Okay.
Yeah, do it. Have a play of it on Game Pass. It's good. So that one's coming out. I don't know when that's coming out. I think it's 2021. There's a little trailer for that for people to have a look.
Yeah.
Then the next one, which I thought was quite interesting, is a game called Road 96.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's a narrative adventure game, like a road movie. It's like Hitchhikers again. But the difference this time, the players will go through a procedural story with sort of thousands of different story branches that will take you into different storylines. So you're from the trailer, it looks like you're going to just meet variations of certain characters. It's like an alternate universe, isn't it? Like different universes going on.
Different timelines.
Different timelines, yeah. This looks intriguing. What do you think?
Yeah. I think the fact that there's thousands of different routes that you can take the narrative, that really surprises me. There's that many. As we know from most narratives where you can alter things, it's very, very slight deviations. But in this, it looks like quite a lot can change. Was it one point where they're being chased by gunmen in the trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is just looks like some kid is being chased by gunmen. Like, how did this happen? Where did we get to this? But yeah, I'm really actually looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and
It does look interesting.
also it's like it's dealing with a kind of like a AAA concept, isn't it? And doing it as a kind of small indie game, which I really like. William, do you like the look of it?
It looks very impressive. I will say. Sorry, please.
That's all right. No, we like it. I like it. It's feedback. It's feedback we're getting for the podcast, which I like.
So yeah, no, I think this is incredibly impressive if they can pull it off. I think I need to keep my expectations in line here. Probably just expect a really good story, which it looks like they're delivering. Because thousands of choices is a lot to promise, but if they can pull this off, It's like this could be a real sleeper this year.
Yeah.
That sneaks up on people. Like Celeste arguably did, like Hades did, if you weren't part of the early access. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of the choices will be like one of the characters has a different hat on. I think that might be it. But it might.
Yeah, probably. But
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exciting. When's that coming out? Do we know? Is it sometimes this year? Isn't it? I think.
this
I
year,
think it's,
Yeah.
yeah, just coming soon this year, isn't it?
Ollie World, which is the skateboard game, skateboard series that I've never played. So have you two played these ones?
I reviewed it, I
Oh,
think.
James, you're the expert.
Only one.
Over to you.
Well, if you let me finish, only one I reviewed, but I don't remember reviewing it. I just know that I did. So it can't be that good.
Wow.
But I think it's just a really simplistic skateboarding game where you got to stay on track, as in use the rails to navigate hazards, jump over gaps. It's the usual. But this one looks a lot more. There's a lot more depth to it
Okay.
and more options, especially in the routes. Like there's different routes you can take to get to the end.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think this one will get my interest a bit more.
Have you played it before, William? The Ollie World?
I've not.
No.
I know the game. What I found interesting here is Private Division, Take-Two, 2K's AA division is publishing this, so it could see a budget increase. These guys did Kerbal Space Program. They published Outer Worlds, of course. They published Ancestors. So I don't know. Maybe they're getting a bigger budget for this.
Yeah.
So that's always nice.
I think the other two are quite successful, aren't they? I think they've done well with
I think it's well.
Yeah. Hindsight reveal trailer. Hindsight is it's like a story. It's a narrative. There wasn't much. It's a great kind of like voiceover and trailer. It's about an older woman reminiscing about a family, and it looks like you're looking at kind of objects from a past, and then you travel into her memories. And I mean, this looks like a game for me.
It definitely does.
When there's not a lot of gameplay, it would just be sort of like picking things up and then just listening to narrative, which I always like. But it was a nice trailer. I really like the look of it. I like the animation. Sorry, William, what were you going to say?
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
Yeah, I think it'd be a nice thing. And then we've got The Last Stop, which is by the same company, by Annapurna. So. And The Last Stop is the game we saw recently with the that huge bloody long event thing on Twitch we saw that went on for about 10 hours.
The 4 hour.
Yeah. And it came on and they showed a massive chunk of gameplay. I think probably a little bit too much at that point. But William, you're really excited about this, aren't you?
I am incredibly excited for Last Stop. I'll admit this one sneaked up on me. I didn't recall any of the showings prior to that Idea at Xbox event. I had seen it, but it didn't make much of an impression. But once they showed that gameplay demo at the Xbox show, it looked really good. Like really, really good. I love body swap fiction. I think 3 interconnected stories. I believe Neil just did an interview with the guys behind this, right?
I think he did, yeah. I think that's right.
I don't know if that's live yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's done yet, but yeah, he will be there so very soon.
Yeah, there's some sort of a junket, and yeah, no, it looks incredibly promising, and yeah, now it's coming to Switch, which that's amazing to get the game out for everyone. I guess a slight hit to Xbox if you want to be the whole list war. Oh, Xbox has this exclusive, Nintendo has this exclusive. Sony this one, but it gets the game in more hands, and ultimately that's pretty damn great.
Yeah, and it's coming out in July. Now, James, what did you think of this? Because we were on the other side a bit, William, weren't we, James? I think we were like
I saw it properly for the first time at the Twitch event, and I was sitting there thinking, if I was playing this, I'd just turn it off. What they showed was a terrible advertisement for the game, I'd say. It was just too drawn out.
Do you think this was because we were like 3.5 hours into this Twitch?
It didn't help.
It didn't help. And would it be seeing
No.
this on its own, in its own right, might have helped the case for it a little bit?
I don't know. I think for me it's too late.
Okay, don't be too harsh. It's not too late.
You know. Yeah. I'm a very first impression kind of guy. And my impression is I won't enjoy it.
I think.
In hindsight, I wish I wasn't that kind of guy, but there we go.
I'm going with William,
Sorry.
with the glass half full. That's what I'm going for. I think it was going to be
I look
exciting.
forward to the review.
Yes.
Whoever reviews it,
Be William,
less
hopefully.
than 3.5, I was right.
Okay, good. July, we'll find out soon, William. July.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
And the other thing as well,
yeah.
I will say, for the part that they showed off, I thought it was, at the last event and everything at the Xbox One, I thought, this looks really good. I love the story. I'm really getting the character stats. That there were a lot of QuickTime events, so I do hope that the gameplay is a bit more refined.
Yeah.
I'll concede that.
Now, the next one to chat about, because I was really interested with this, is a game.
Fascinating.
It's called The Longing, and it's by a German developer and Studio Suf, and it's a folklore kind of spy game, and it's about this servant of this kind of king who's underground, and he has to wait for 400 days for the king to awaken from his sleep, and it's about what the servant does in that time. But this is the thing I think is the key thing. The game's played in real time. And you have 400 days before the king wakes up. And I don't think you have to play every day, do you, to see the ending? But you've got the option. That's the thing. And every day you have I suppose, different puzzles and activities to do. But I suppose it's the key is it. Well, it's out now. We'll find out maybe. Do you just do the puzzle for the day? Is it like your task for the day and that's it? This is going to be the thing. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's a case of that you'll either embrace it and try and find new things within the world all the time, or what I might do is turn it on, get the clock counting down, and then wait for 100 days to go back to it. But I did read somewhere there's actual classic books in the game to read.
It's a great idea.
Moby Dick.
It's a great idea. I mean, it's out now on Switch, must be, isn't it? So, hopefully we'll see a bit more. William, do you like the look of this?
PC.
Oh.
The one thing I will say is when I was a kid, I realized this, and most people, growing up with Animal Crossing, realized this. You can change the internal clock on your system to travel forward in time. So for Animal Crossing, they had to change that so it doesn't work on the system level anymore. I'm curious if these developers took this into account, or if people are going to try and speedrun this game going, start it, okay?
Wow.
Set the clock to 400 days from now, beat it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great concept, isn't it? Just like, I love the idea of something that happens after that time. It's really good. Yeah, I'm intrigued. Just briefly, the only other one I had of thing was Aerial Knight. That looked quite good, which is a kind of free runner game. Sort of stylized. I like the look of that.
The Tokyo one.
Yeah.
Like Tokyo inspired.
You sort of jump in through, almost like what's that motorbike game?
Road Rash?
No. Tricks.
Trials?
Yeah, Trials. It reminds me of Trials for some weird reason. Yeah, that looked quite nice. That's coming out in May the 19th. Have you got one game each? Anything else you want to talk about, you two? Have I missed anything? There's quite a few loads of other good games that have got announced. One each?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or I guess Hero Turtles for you guys. That's I like beat 'em up games, and I love the pixel art of this. I'm not huge on the Turtles, but this looks really fun.
Good. And when that's coming out later this year, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James, you got another one there?
I quite like the look of There Is No Game, Wrong Dimension.
Yeah.
It's a point and click comedy adventure, and it's going to borrow a lot of, let's say, classic game tropes and put them into one game for a bit of a laugh. It looks really good,
Yeah.
mixing a few different styles.
Yeah.
It's point and click, so
Good. Some good games
I
there.
never heard of it.
No.
I never heard of it before today.
Yeah. There's some nice stuff there. I mean, it's great. It's good. Really interesting. It's got a lot of great indies. It's a great year for indies, as there's nothing
It
else
always
coming
is. Always is.
and everything else is getting
The
done.
indies will never let us down.
They won't let us down. Exactly.
Oh, so sorry, I didn't mention this as well. Just because I scrolled to the bottom of the list, it reminded me. House of the Dead, it's back.
It's back. Yes, that is the thing. House of the Dead. It's coming to
I
Switch.
love playing that. So very happy to see that
Yeah.
it's not only back, they're remaking it. That's wonderful.
Good. Good. All I remember is Dirty Arcades playing that drunk. That's all I remember that game. Good. Let's go through some other news briefly. What's going on with PlayStation? Now, William, you know, look, there's a lot going on at PlayStation. There's turmoil at PlayStation, we've heard.
It's been a rough week. It's been a rough month, arguably, for PlayStation fans. You know, and they went out of the gate with so much momentum this generation. But Xbox has been making up a lot of ground, in particular in this sort of lull period between major releases. And the problem is, things are starting to come out about PlayStation and the current leadership there. And I'm not going to say that Jim Ryan, the guy who's handling this, is wrong or is bad or anything. He's just got a very different perspective than Sean Layden, who preceded him, did, who then Phil Spencer has. And now that the competition is a lot more fierce than it was in the last generation, where Nintendo, with the Wii U and the Xbox One, sort of stumbled out of the gate, these issues are becoming a lot more apparent.
Right.
So the difficulty is what PlayStation has been doing is their whole shtick now is we want to be the place with the best games. We want the big AAA blockbuster experiences, $70, the ones that you sit back and go, I have massive fear of missing out here. I need to be part of this. I need to play these. And it's been having an adverse effect on some of their other studios. Jason Schreier reported on this. So Japan Studio, who was responsible for Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, Gravity Rush, Knack, they're gone. The only part of Japan, like even the director of the Demon Souls remake, who worked at Japan Studio, has been fired.
Right.
The only people left there are Team Asobi, who did Astrobots and Astro's Playroom, which, mind you, is a fantastic game. I love that game. But this very diverse studio, Loco Roco, Patapon, Ape Escape, they're gone. Bend Studio, the ones who made Days Gone, for a while they would have a rough go of it because they wanted to make a Days Gone too. I believe that they had set the table for that. I don't know. I haven't beat Days Gone yet, but that game didn't review so hot. But a lot of fans loved it, and it seemed to sell well. But Sony said, Days Gone 2, that's out of the picture. We aren't gonna approve that. What we want you to do is we want you to work on the Last of Us factions, and we want you to make us an Uncharted 5. And it's like, I love Uncharted. Uncharted 2 is one of my favorite games. I cannot overstate the influence that had on me. Understate the influence that had on me. It's a wonderful game, but they don't. From the sounds of it, they didn't want to bloody make it. But they were sent back going, well, Days Gone sold really well, but didn't sell as well as Uncharted, so go do Uncharted. And finally, there was a brand new studio in San Diego that they were building up. And this studio was part of the visual arts support group, I believe, or VASG, according to Jason Schreier. And these guys, they wanted to make a remake of the first Uncharted. But Sony said, the first Uncharted is too old to remake. It's going to cost us too much money. Remake The Last of Us, which, mind you, is a game that plays and looks perfectly bloody fine on the PS3, let alone the PS4 and 5 at 60 frames. And so they were working on Last of Us remake. And then Sony went in and said, no, you're spending too much money on this, and then gave it to Naughty Dog. So now Naughty Dog has to put part of their staff on this bloody remake of a game that everyone's already played. So they're doing all of this, and meanwhile, at the same time, they're pulling the stores for the PS3, the Vita, and the PSP offline. And so PS3 games, they pulled the updates by mistake. So if you go and buy a used copy, you can't get the updates for some of these games now. And these are big games like the most recent Twisted Metal. So if you buy a copy and you can't update it, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And it's just the culmination of all of these things, shutting down studios, forcing studios on projects they don't want. At least for Bend, they're finally making a new IP. They got taken off of Uncharted last month, and someone else will make it, which, you know what, great. But when you compare this to Microsoft, who seems to be making all the right moves right now, they're buying Bethesda, they're investing a ton in Compulsion, Obsidian, in Exile. They're at 23 studios. They're really big on back compat. You have FPS boost, auto HDR, whereas Sony is pulling updates for their own games. It's just really a bad look, right?
I mean, the Last of Us remake is the weirdest thing ever in the world. We're absolutely right. It's something that no one needs or wants. It's fine. It looks fine. You had a remaster of it. It's fine. And also, you've got a TV series coming out at the same time that's going to come out, telling the same story.
Which is why I think they
Which is why they're going to do it. Yeah.
But like an Uncharted remake is not a bad idea. I love Uncharted, but really the series as we know it kind of started with 2. The bigger focus on the adventures, everything else. Uncharted 1 was sort of a Gears of War clone mixed with a Tomb Raider clone. I love the character of Nathan Drake, and Elena and Sully, of course, and the story's good, but Uncharted 1 is dated in a way that 2 and Beyond aren't. So if there's any game that would benefit from a remake that could quite easily sell and justify the price, it's Uncharted 1. They're making a whole new Uncharted movie with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg next year. Like, why are they remaking The Last of Us?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, not a great time for PlayStation at the moment.
Definitely not.
I mean, they can turn it around. Returnal's coming out in a couple of weeks, but it's reminding me a lot of the arrogance we saw in the PS3 days, the early PS3 days from that, or the early Xbox One days of, we were so successful and anything we do is great in the competition. We don't have to worry about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a dangerous mindset.
Especially dangerous with Xbox, and with that, with their buying the studios and the Game Pass is this year already. There's nothing coming out, but this year already. In a space in the month for them to have on Game Pass Outriders and that baseball game, that's huge in the States, and that we all want to play.
Sony developed. Yeah, I forgot to even get into the whole Sony releasing the game. Whether or not they have saying is another matter on Game Pass, where you have to pay $70 on PS5. Like, you can't make this up.
No, it's amazing. Yeah, interesting, really interesting. Just before we came on here, the Formula One game by who does the Formula One games? Is it
Codemasters.
Codemasters?
Codemasters.
They've just said they've announced their new Formula One game, which is coming out in July, I think, isn't it? July the 20-something.
July 16th.
16. Thank you very much, James. But they're introducing a new story mode in it.
Nice.
Like the Journey in FIFA, or like the Madden one, which is called, I can't remember what it's called. That's that. Yeah, William, you said nice first of all. Do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, I mean, I think, this is a natural evolution of where to go next. You didn't hear this from me, but according to some industry insiders and job postings, they were digging done on the forums that I'm on. Forza's going to be taking the same route, possibly. So I think it's really cool, and Codemasters got bought out by EA recently, so the hope is that they just leave them alone and give them some more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James, you'd be interested in doing the story of a Formula One driver?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the cutscenes where Messi turns up and promotes FIFA.
If it can get me out of the pits, that story, because that's as far as I've got with the Formula One game. I can't get out of the pits. Just can't work it out.
I do like the fact that, as well as the story mode, they have got a proper career mode, haven't they?
Yeah. It's a big old game, isn't
and
it?
2 players.
Oh.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Teaming up.
It's not for me, that game. I'm not very much skilled in that, but I think it's a big, very popular game.
No arguing.
No one's arguing. Yeah. Good. Formula One, we just heard about that. Another thing that we just heard about before we came on was Ubisoft have announced that they're doing the Ubisoft Forward, and their date is June the 12th. I'm just saying dates now, I've got nothing written down.
Yeah, June the 12th, 12 p.m. Eastern, if I recall correctly. It might be Pacific, but yeah.
And this is in the E3 online week, isn't it? Is that
yes,
right? Yeah.
E3 is from the 12th to the 15th, and right. I guess Ubisoft is kicking it off this year.
What have we got? What do you think we're going to get from them? What are we hoping for? What could happen? I mean, we know about Far Cry 6. That's something we know.
Far Cry 6 is a given.
Yeah.
We haven't heard anything on Riders Republic after they delayed that. That one looked pretty fun.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
There's the Prince of Persia remake that was delayed indefinitely recently. That might reemerge here. We've got that. Skull and Bones and Beyond Good and Evil, if they ever escape the development hell they're in. We'll get to see those.
Skull and Bones. That's James's winner. He's loved that game from the beginning. It's not
hard since day one.
Remember when Skull and Bones was going to kill Sea of Thieves, and Sea of Thieves was dead on arrival, people were saying? Now, Sea of Thieves is 3 years old. It has 22 million players, and we still haven't played Skull and Bones.
I know.
One day.
What else could we have? What other possibilities are in there? I can't imagine.
Could you tease the new Assassins?
Could
you tease it?
Could tease. They're not going to do one this year, are they? They're probably going to. I mean, they haven't said no to that, but
it's fairly unlikely. But maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, little trailer teasing where it is.
Yeah. I mean, they're just interesting enough. The new people who are waiting for the new DLC for Assassin's Valhalla, the Wrath of the Druids expansion in Ireland. It's been delayed from the end of April now. It's mid-May, I think. A couple of weeks later. So they probably won't get through the DLC to the end of the year. So I doubt there's going to be another Assassins, but you never know.
Yeah. There will be updates to the ongoing games. And then Rainbow Six.
Oh, yeah.
Rainbow Six Quarantine, which is probably the worst name for a game ever right now. I think they've changed it internally to Parasite, but we should hear more on that, I hope.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, I'm sure
there'll be some mobile games. There'll be a few mobile games that we don't care about as well.
Be Just Dance. Just Dance.
Yeah, Just Dance. And then the Division developers, they're doing a game for Avatar and they're doing a game for Star Wars. Now, I think Avatar's probably going to be next year with Avatar 2 if that ever bloody comes out. But yeah, we could see one of them.
What do we think? Do you think maybe Division 3?
I don't think Division 3 is coming anytime soon. I believe Division 2 was sort of internally a disappointment for them. And Massive, they're doing the Avatar game and they're doing the Star Wars game, so they're very busy there. I don't think another studio could take on Division 3, I suppose. Toronto tends to inherit the third installments of things. Like they did Watch Dogs, they did Splinter Cell, they're doing Far Cry because the other studios didn't want to do it. So, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe.
Another bit here, Age of Empires, because we had poor Richard last week was really looking forward to Age of Empires 4 reveal. Did anyone see this? Did anyone watch this?
I did.
Oh, did you? What happened? Is it come to console? That's what Richard was hoping. No, okay.
No, it's not coming to console, and like, I'm working on a pitch that I'm gonna deliver to Neil about this because it's such a weird position for Xbox that one of their biggest studios is making games for PC but not console. Like, and I get it with Age because I don't know if you guys have played the others. It's complicated. It's not something that can easily go to console. But when things like City Skylines, Stellaris, etc. can go, if you find the right port studio, you can make a console version without sacrificing the core PC experience.
Yeah.
You know?
I think City Skylines is a really good example of that. It really works, I think. Yeah.
So, but all things considered, it looks good. It's coming this holiday, apparently. Relic, they're a good dev, Sega owned. They supposedly have a no crunch policy, so that's really cool too.
Good.
But, yeah, no, game looks good.
Good,
and
okay.
Console players eventually get to play it.
Yeah. And we haven't heard anything about Flight Simulator yet, as well, for the summer. We know it's coming in the summer.
Yeah, Flight Sim is so good, but it throttles my PC, and my PC is powerful. So.
It's not going to be on the Xbox One, is it? I can't imagine that ever.
Oh God, no. If it goes to the Xbox One, it's either going to run at 5 frames per second, or they're going to have to find some xCloud magic workaround thing.
You can make it 8-bit version. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
We promised you a flight simulator. Here's Microsoft Flight Simulator X from 2006. There you go. This is what you wanted.
Right, finally, before we go, what are we looking forward to next week? James, I'm going to start with you because you've always got something for this.
Yeah. What is it? Nothing.
Nothing. You've got nothing to look forward to next week.
More wrestling.
More wrestling. Good. Yay. William, what have you got?
Well, I am curious about this, and by the time people are listening to this will have already happened. But a Resident Evil event is happening in a couple hours. It's mostly going to be on Village. Now, I will admit, Resident Evil is another blind spot. I haven't played any of these games. I have the remake of the first. I'm going to jump into that after Yakuza 0. But the thing is, Capcom is teasing that they will have some extra surprises at this event. So, knowing Capcom, it's probably just going to be a beta of the multiplayer that no one plays. But everyone's going, Resident Evil 4 remake, Resident Evil 4 remake. They're going to show the Resident Evil 4 remake. And I'm really interested to see what that looks like if they show it. So that would be amazing if they did.
I think I heard about Resident Evil 8 or Village is that you've got cooking in it now. You can cook things. Hunting
and cooking.
Yeah. It feels like it's a bit more open worldy than normal. It sounds. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they go on the survival, I guess, which is cool. You know, it's a survival horror genre. That's the point. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to, which we talked about briefly, the show, the baseball game that's coming out on Thursday. I just really want to play that. I don't know why. I'll probably only play it for an hour, but I'm just curious that I've heard so much about this game. Get to finally play it for free.
Yeah. I think I'll play that as well.
We'll play it together.
My brother is super excited.
Yeah. Sorry, what do you say?
My brother's very excited for that one, and I like the series as well. I'm just quite bad at it.
Yeah, I think I will be.
So,
I'll be as well, as usual. Right, you two, thank you very much. Now, if we need to find you, where would we find you? William, where would we find you?
you can find me on Twitter at William J. Caruana. Now, that said, I don't post much these days. Twitter's starting to get to my psyche, but
Yeah,
I'm there every odd now and then.
great.
Yeah.
James, what about you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at OKidUKO, and you can hear my thoughts on wrestling, K-pop, and strange snacks. What more could you ask
It's
for?
good. It's a good listen. I like it. And you can find me at GB Brady on Twitter and Twitch. But for now, gentlemen, thank you so much as always, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Alright.
You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You'll be able to find all the notes of this show at www.TheXboxHub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter at The Xbox Hub, and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.